Hello everyone and welcome to our webinar, What's New in ProcessMaker 3.4. My name is Summer Becker and I'm the training lead here at ProcessMaker, and I'm here with Edwin Paredes and Mauricio Cardenas, who are going to show us exactly how the new features and improvements work in ProcessMaker 3.4. Before we get to the demos, first I would like to say that if you have questions at any point in the webinar, feel free to submit your questions through the questions functionality in the GoToWebinar panel. And then before we get to the demos, I will also be giving you a short introduction, which I will start right now. So the new features in ProcessMaker 3.4 include two new plugins. First of all, the SAML SSO plugin and the Enhanced Home Experience plugin, also known as the EHX plugin. Now, the SAML SSO plugin offers connections to a lot more service providers so that you can authenticate through those providers to log into ProcessMaker. This means that your end users no longer have to log into ProcessMaker individually. You can log in through another provider, saving you a few clicks, which adds up over time. Some of the new supported providers include Azure, Shibboleth, and OneLogin, but that is by no means an exhaustive list, and Mauricio will cover that in a little bit in his demo. We also have the Enhanced Home Experience plugin, which, as you see in the image on this slide, really improves the look and feel of the home page, allowing users to make custom filters for the cases, as well as just providing an easier way to manage your cases and sort through your cases in the home page. This is a really cool new plugin that our product team is really proud of. So we're very excited to have you test it out in our new version. Now we have a lot of improvements with this version as well, beginning with the actions by email responses, which allow users to send in responses when they perform an action by email. And then the responses get collected in ProcessMaker through case notes. We also now support MySQL 5.7. We also have asynchronous loading of dependent fields, which greatly improves the performance of Dynaforms that have dependent fields and makes them load a little bit faster. We also now provide advanced search improvement, which allows you to have more tools to perform searches on cases in your ProcessMaker workspace. We also now provide a task manager emails, which means that all intermediate email events are now sent through queue jobs in the background, which greatly enhances performance and usability for email notifications. And finally, we also provide various improvements to the suggest control, giving you more options to provide a suggest control field for end users, allowing them to search more quickly and add multiple options. So without any further ado, let me hand it over to Mauricio to show you the new features, and then Edwin, who is going to show you the new improvements.
Hello everyone, my name is Mauricio Cardenas, and I'm part of the product management team of ProcessMaker. And I will present you the SAML Authentication plugin. Well, this plugin supports all IDPs that are compliant with SAML 2.0, such as ADFS, Apps4U, Microsoft Azure, OpenAM, Okta, Google, Shibboleth, and Ping. The settings are very simple and straightforward, and once they are set, you will need to enable the authentication. And let's go for a ride. Right now, I'm here enable the authentication. I will update my configurations, and I will go to a new tab to start synchronizing with the SAML authentication. And voila. Perfect. So I just log in using the SAML authentication and the settings version. So let's move to the new plugin that is the Enhanced Home Experience plugin. This new plugin changed the home tab to a different view that is more friendly and dedicated to a self-performance. So let me show you how is the new view of ProcessMaker. I already have here. As you see, the elements in the left list are moved to the top, such as to do, draft, participated, paused, and assigned, and started by me. I have a searching box so I can search the cases by name to make a specific search. Also, we have a new form of creating cases based on the categories. So in this part, I have the only one view, or I have the accordion to search the specific category and the process, or I can use the big buttons. If I want, I can customize the way that categories will look. Selecting a new icon. In this case, I will select anyone, and I will use a different set of colors. Imperfect, I can say. Okay. So also I have an option for metrics, and that is what I mean about self-performance, because I can see how I'm doing in my performance, doing new cases, in participators, in draft, pause, and assigned. Search by process. My number of cases by date, or if I want to drill down, I can just go over here and change this view. So this is the new Home and Haze experience plugin, and I will pass the presentation to my colleague, Edwin Paredes.
Thank you, Mauricio. Okay. Once upon a time, there was a manager that wanted a quick way to approve requests without having to log into the application, open a case, and route it. Based on that need, ProcessMaker provided the actions by email, a way to take decisions directly from an email client. And it became one of the most popular features. But making a decision was not enough. It was necessary to send feedback to support it. The email response is a new option in Actions by Email that allows providing additional feedback along with the decision taken. It works with a forward email message that is sent to a receiver account. Then, the email body is used to identify the action taken and to capture additional feedback. This improvement requires to configure an email server with an IMAP protocol. For doing that, let's go to the Admin tab, Email Servers, and let's click on New and set SMTP IMAP as the email engine. I will jump into one that I already configured for this demo. I set the email engine to SMTP. Sorry. I set the email engine to SMTP IMAP PHP mailer. I provided the outgoing server, the outgoing port, the incoming server, and the incoming port as well. As with other email server, I provided the sender account, the password, and a sender email and name, as well as other required information. Now, let's go to the process. I will use a very simple process to show how email response works. The expense report. The expense report process is used to track the expenses of the employees during the course of performing job functions. In the first task, an employee will report the expenses, and in the second task, the supervisor will make a decision. The supervisor can approve the report, reject it, or he can add some feedback and send it back to the employee. The second task will be configured to use an email response. For doing that, let's go to Properties, Actions by Email. Let's set the type to email response and provide the receiver account we just configured, as well as the email account, that is the account from which emails will be sent. Let's provide, as with other actions by email, let's provide the sender name, the sender variable, which is the variable used for the receivers, the subject, and the email template. And let's make sure to set the store option in, which is the response or the action that will be recorded in a variable. And let's set a different variable to store the body, the comments, or the feedback that will be provided in the email. In this example, I provided an option for all three paths in my flow. One for reject, another for add a comment, and the last one for approve the expense report. Now, let's go to the example. For doing so, I'm going back to the Home tab. I'll create a new case. I create a case in expense report process. My information is already populated at the top of this dynamo, and now I will provide some details. Let's say that today I spent $5 in transportation. I can add some files and some comments, but that's optional, and I'm not doing so for this demo. And then let's submit a case. This case is submitted to the next task to be reviewed by the supervisor. I'll now click on continue. This will trigger the email. So now, if I go to my email account, I'll see that I just received one email for this expense report. Let's open it. So I see my notice. This is the expense report I just filled. And it has the three options: reject, add a comment, and approve. For this demo purposes, I will just add a comment and send this case back to the requester. Let's add a question here. Is that all you have to report? And now all I need to do is click on send. Notice that this section here is populated with some information. This code is required to identify the action taken as well as the case in which this action will take effect. Let's now send the case back to the server. Now, this action might take some time to be processed. So let's go back to inbox and see that this case is in the review expense task and now has changed to the report expense. Let's open it. This is the information I just populated, and here's the comment I just provided in the email. I want to clarify that since we choose the add comment option, the case has been routed back to the starting task. Well, that's what you need to know regarding email response. Now, allow me to show you other great improvements in ProcessMaker 3.4.0. It is said that every $1 invested in user experience results in a return between $2 and $100. That's why we aim to improve the use of two of the most popular features in Dynaforms, the suggest control and the dependent fields. Okay, let's go to new case and create one case here. The suggest control is a control that comes handy to search for a specific values over a large set of data. It is now improved in three manners. First, It displays the list of possible inputs without the need to type any character. In the past, users were forced to type some characters to know what elements were present in the list. Second, it can force the user to select one of the items in the dataset. The previous suggest control was not able to prevent the users to introduce other values. And finally, it is now possible to define the limit of the results displayed. Okay. To force a selection of one of the items, let's go to the process designer. Select the suggest control, go to properties, and mark the force selection checkbox. And you can also set the number of results limit property to define the maximum number of items displayed on the list. That's simple. We hope you find these improvements very useful. Let's go back to the case. All right. Now, dependent fields are probably one of the most useful features. It was initially created to narrow the list of elements of a dropdown, but it was quickly adopted to populate multiple fields at once. Sadly, all requests run synchronously, waiting for one dependency to be completed after the other. In this scenario, populating multiple dependent fields could easily take several seconds, time in which the user was not able to perform any other action. In ProcessMaker 3.4.0, all dependencies are triggered at the same time, reducing the time required to populate the fields, and they will not block the user to fill other fields while one dependent field is taking time to retrieve the information. Okay, in this example, multiple fields will be populated with the corresponding information of the user selected in the suggest control. Let's look for myself on the list, and let's click on it. All the information below will be populated with my information, with my personal information. And that's it. Look how fast it is now. There is nothing more to say regarding this improvement. Now, the last improvement in ProcessMaker 3.4.0 is the support for MySQL 5.7. This version is 30% faster than MySQL 5.6. And performance improvement is definitely an improvement in usability. Well, these are the improvements, features, and plugins that ProcessMaker 3.4 offers. My name is Edwin Paredes. I work in product management, and I hope you enjoyed this presentation.
All right, thank you, Edwin and Mauricio, for your presentations. Now, I would like the audience at this time to submit any questions that you have through the questions functionality in the GoToWebinar panel, and then we are going to get around and answer all of your questions in the order that they've been received. But first of all, while you guys are submitting your questions, I'd like to tell you about some of the webinars we have coming up. So the next webinar we have coming up is about enhancing account security with biometrics, and that is going to happen on Thursday, November 7th at 2 p.m. ET. So this webinar is about enhancing account security for customers at banks. But if you work in another industry where customer security is concerned, especially in regards to customer data, you might be interested in watching how biometrics and ProcessMaker work together to increase account security for customers. The next webinar we have after that is a more detailed webinar that's going to show you how to configure the EHX plugin for your workspace so your end users can also benefit from the awesome new look and feel of the homepage. And that's going to happen on Tuesday, November 5th at 3 p.m. The last webinar we have on our plate for you is the Seamless Sign-On webinar, which will show you how to configure the SAML plugin. And that's going to happen on Tuesday, November 12th at 3 p.m. ET. So you can feel free to head on over to our website at processmaker.com/services/webinars and register for these webinars. Now, let's get to your questions.